My name is Ryan Romberg. I'm the pastor of Placentia Presbyterian Church, and this is Three for the Road. This last week, we looked at Lady Wisdom in the beginning of our series called The Other Side, God's Wisdom through the Daughters of Eve. And so, as we did, we looked at Proverbs 8, particularly the beginning, 1 through 21. There's plenty more to say about Lady Wisdom in Proverbs, particularly the Proverbs themselves. This is, in many ways, the outpouring of Lady Wisdom. This is not so much father to son as a father who has imbibed Lady Wisdom and has sought to pursue her. All right, so if you haven't got a chance to listen to that sermon, go ahead and click the link below. Let's get to today. First things first, what did we leave out? But it's pretty interesting, and we probably want to talk about. I think the first thing is the book of Proverbs itself. How it was composed, where it had come from, many interesting things about the book of Proverbs. So it says it's from Solomon, to his son, and it's this idea that it's this kind of letter of wisdom from a father to a son. There are some signs that at the very least it was edited, if indeed it was just Solomon who wrote it. This is troubling for people usually, or it's a sign that the Bible is fake. No, this is how things were often done in the ancient world. When we have the world that we have today with data records and things like that, particularly after the Enlightenment, I think when we got into the modern world, things changed quite a bit, probably even in the Middle Ages and things like that, where we really started to have more strict rules of how we did certain things with certain writings. In that ancient world, you could have someone saying this is Solomon, and it's totally fine if it wasn't totally Solomon, the entire thing. Now, we know in Proverbs that not all of it's Solomon, because some of it said was done during the time of King Hezekiah, later in the book of Proverbs. So we know that it wasn't all Solomon, first of all. Secondly, there are some Proverbs, which is really interesting. This still could be Solomon writing, but there are some Proverbs that are reflected from Egypt's wisdom literature. And it was an older wisdom tradition. So in some ways, it could have been Solomon adopting some of this older Egyptian wisdom, which is fascinating. That's either saying A, God used something outside of the biblical tradition, I guess if you want to say it that way, or God was speaking to other peoples that then it came back to Solomon and Solomon took it as the word of God. Think about that. We have this very narrowed view of what the Bible is. And oftentimes I think it gets people who are fundamentalists and closet fundamentalists and ex-fundamentalists particularly into trouble because they have such a narrow view that when it gets upset, they either fight against it or they say, all of the Bible is fake. And that's not how life works, friends. It's just not. I mean, take the example I gave in the sermon this Sunday about the rib in the side. Not in the book of Proverbs, it's in the book of Genesis. And how it's abundantly clear that the intent of Genesis chapter 2 and Eve's creation, I'll just say that for a second and I'll tell you more about that later. That story is not saying that Eve was created from a rib, period. I can almost say that unequivocally. Now, I don't want to be too arrogant in my ways. I'm always open to anything. But it seems very clear, both from the words used and the historical record, and nothing in the Bible that takes away from that this is not the way it happened. There was no rib. A rib is a total invention. What's hard for us is that came from tradition, not from the Bible itself, and not from God. I want to be careful. I do think God has used that over time. It is definitely catchy. Definitely has caught our attention. But I also think God could have used that for all of us. And it's not like if you got it wrong, you're going to hell. Even that is, I think, a stretch. That's fundamentalism. We inherited fundamentalism. I've often told the story about Charles Fuller, who was a fundamentalist, who said, I've said many times in different stories, that he said that we were taking care of the children of immigrant farm workers in the 1920s, and he said that's for the government to do, not for the church to do, basically inferring that we're supposed to save souls and not help people. Okay, that was the fundamentalism of its day. It was a reaction against bigger movements that were trying to basically create a utopia on earth, and would fail all the time and become a giant disaster. I'm not going to get too political with this, but you can think of a lot of things where humans try to create utopias and it just fails miserably, right? It just does, because that's not what the Bible is calling us to do, is create a utopia. Also, the Bible is not calling us not to help people. Also true. We are called to help people, not so that we can have an outcome that we can look back to and say, look at the empire I built. No, this is the kingdom, not my empire. And it's God's kingdom, which means God's kingdom is reversed. God's kingdom is described as seed. God's kingdom is described as yeast. It's not described as great tall buildings, right? And all this kind of stuff. All the people stream into God's kingdom at the end of the story. we got to reorient ourselves. And this is part of what we talked about on Sunday. One of our biggest invitations, I think, for today. And that invitation is this idea of being willing to listen to the subversive wisdom of God that invites us to reassess our common sense notions of things. It does not go with our common sense, our worldly wisdom. No. Now, there are some things that are true. You have to eat. You got to breathe. You got to drink. This is just basic life fact stuff, right? You are called to work, do stuff. Like, don't be lazy, Proverbs says. Pretty understandable. It's not like God says, no, that's worldly wisdom. The real true wisdom is be lazy, lay around all day, do nothing. No, why? Not because hard work is good, but because we were made to work the garden, right? Work it and keep it. That's what we're made for. This is a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. Now, the problem is that work becomes toil. This is a specific word that gets used that in the book of Revelation gets wiped away. It says there will be toil no more, but we will still work, convinced of it. In the heavenly realm with God, we will still work because that's what we're made for. We're made to work. And work is beautiful. Work is wonderful. It's toil that stinks. Spinning your wheels, doing this with others, right? That kind of stuff, that's toil. But we're made for work. And so that's why Proverbs says, hey, come on, get to it. This is good. Even if you feel the toil, the wheels spinning, let's go. Let's get to it. So if you could see, our worldly wisdom says working hard gets you success. No, that's not what Proverbs is saying. Period. We saw it in the beginning in Proverbs chapter 8. We're not looking for an outcome of success. We're not looking for riches. It says wisdom is better than gold. It's better than silver. Don't worry about that other stuff. Let the outcome go where it may, right? And there are people who will become rich. Don't envy them. Don't desire what they have. We know that. Oftentimes we paint this picture of like, work hard, get rich so you can have the wealth and have security. And can you hear how that's not at all biblical? The idea is go and seek wisdom, because that is where you'll find life. Now, we didn't talk about it on Sunday. Back to what we didn't talk about. Jesus is the source of all wisdom. Jesus takes all this wisdom tradition and incorporates it in himself. He is the lens through which we read all wisdom. Okay? Every bit of wisdom in the Bible needs to be read through the lens of Jesus, not outside of Jesus, not separate from Jesus, in Jesus, right? So when Jesus says, blessed are the poor in Luke, yeah, you're probably thinking, wait, he said poor in spirit. That's Matthew. He does the same sermon in Luke, and he says, blessed are the poor, period. Now you could say, well, they probably left it out. Did they? It stayed for a long time. I think it's pretty intentional, right? What I'm not saying is go be poor. That's not wisdom. Did you see the proverb I mentioned on Sunday? Did you hear it when I said one of the proverbs is, I desire neither riches nor poverty. Interesting. Just enough. Just my daily bread. Oof. For us, just getting daily bread is poverty. But is it? Is that what it is? Daily bread is trusting in God. It's relying upon God for everything. It's not building up my nest egg. Now, I have a retirement account. I'm in the Presbyterian Church. That pension is about as good as it gets in this world. I know that, right? So am I building up a nest egg for retirement? Yes. I'm not saying that's bad. That's actually wisdom too, to have this thing so that you don't become burdens to other people. If you don't have a nest egg, I am not judging you. Okay? I so happen to fall into this in the Presbyterian Church. I didn't become Presbyterian pastor so that I could have a pension. I know several people who have, though. And it's tough. It's really tough because you see that pension, it's there, and you're a minister, and you're like, well, I want that. I want to get a pension. I need to take care of my family. So even that, right? I'm going around in circles. What I'm saying is the whole idea of creating sort of an empire. When we start to talk about generational wealth, I want to say pump the brakes. I don't think generational wealth is a biblical concept whatsoever. I think it's a very dangerous concept. Generational wealth. It's a very dangerous concept. It's something that causes a lot of oppression and evil, wicked deeds and deceptions and ways to, as Romans says, hey, pay your taxes. And generational wealth seeks to find a way not to, right? This is the Bible. Romans says, pay your taxes. It just does. Romans 13. What I'm not trying to do is judge every one of you listening. Trust me, I am in this. We are all in this. I'm judging the wisdom of this world. I'm not judging it. I think God is. God is judging the wisdom of this world. And he invites us into a deeper wisdom. Can you have a retirement savings? Yes. Should it be your idol? No. Should it be something that you try to get at all costs? No. Get wisdom at all costs. Does wisdom mean that you'll become rich? Do the rich have wisdom? No. No, they don't. Not automatically. Some do. I've known a lot of wealthy people who have great wisdom. I've known a lot of wealthy people who have none. This is the wisdom of God. Will you be willing to embrace it? The final thing, I said I mentioned this later in the video. I don't even know why I'm mentioning it now. It's not like I had a big master plan to do this. It just hit me now. Eve. So Eve in the garden was not created from a rib. It was created from the side. A splitting of the two. Very clear. What else do we know about Eve's creation? Well, it's interesting. The word creation happens in the very beginning of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The Hebrew order is Bereshit bara. I think created, that's bara, is the second word in the Bible. Bereshit is in the beginning. Okay, Be is in, Reshit is the beginning. Okay, so in the beginning, created God is what it said. No, God is the subject, so I'm not saying something created God. This is Hebrew word order. Okay, so bara. Okay, here's the interesting thing. Eve is not created. Like, what? Now, was Eve created by God? Yes, Eve was, but a different word is used. Interesting. Eve is built. Built. The other time this word gets used is two different ways in the Bible. Two different ways that this word built gets used. Outside of Eve. No other person is built in the Bible other than Eve. Okay? Cities are built. What else is built? Altars. Altars are built. You can look, if you have the tools, you can go to the website BibleHub.com. You can look all this up. It's right there for you if you wanted to. You probably have to know what you're looking for. I can always help you if you'd like. And cities and altars are built. Here's the question. Are you out to build a city or an altar? Are you out to build your empire? or to participate in God's kingdom. I know a lot of people who are just incredible followers of Jesus Christ that are out to build cities. They're out to build empires. They think that the empire proclaims the glory of God's kingdom. And that is not the glory of God's kingdom. The glory of God's kingdom is on a man dying on a cross. It's on someone who gives their life rather than takes. And not gives to build the empire. No. They're not just working and burning into both ends so that they can build their mighty kingdom, their own mighty kingdom. No, that is not wisdom. That is not wisdom. It is so that we would build altars in this world. And I believe that Genesis 2 image of Eve being built is trying to call us to see this. The other thing Eve is called, which I love, and this has been, I think, also weaponized against women. She is a helper, a helpmate, a helpmeet, however it gets translated in different biblical translations. And she's Adam's helper. You should just help Adam. I think it's been said many times now recently in different social media circles. You may have heard this. If you haven't, write this one down. The word helper is Ezer, right? You hear it in the word Ebenezer, right? And you're like, is that Scrooge? Well, there's an actual song about an Ebenezer. And an Ebenezer is a rock of help. Eben, rock, Ezer, help. Okay. Ezer is a help. Who else in the Bible is basically our humanity's Ezer? Is it our servants? Is it our children? Is it those who are not as good as us? The only other character that really gets called an Ezer in the Bible is God. Is that me saying women are God? No. Please don't think that. That's not the wisdom from on high. What it is saying is, listen. Listen to the wisdom that comes from the daughters of Eve. Now, it's true, the daughters of Eve will sometimes overexert themselves, just like the sons of Adam. They're human. We're all human. That is why we see, I believe, in the New Testament, Paul's words of caution, not because he was trying to restrict women, but because the Christian movement was so empowering to women that they stepped up and said, now we're in charge. And you're like, no, we're together. Image of God. Image of God. Let's be image of God. But let us listen to the helpers of this humanity. Remember, Adam means human. Eve is the helper of human. Right? Let's listen to the wisdom that comes from that mouth. It is true, Eve took from the fruit of the tree. And Adam ate the fruit as well. Adam's sin wasn't listening to the woman, it was eating the fruit. The Bible never says Adam's sin was listening to the woman. That came as later commentary, and it is decrepit. And it is an awful understanding of the Bible that distorts the Bible's clear word that both male and female are created in the image of God. So what are your questions? There were none. So if you have any questions about any of this, please reach out to me. If something's really bothering you, you can reach out to. I won't even put it on this video. I won't put it on any videos. Use the text line below. You see the number. If you're like, what? When he points down, what is he pointing to? I look down below the video. I don't see anything. If you go and expand the description of the video, there should be a little button to expand the description. Or if you see a tiny little bit of description with a ... click around there. It'll open up. You'll see a lot more. It'll describe what this video is all about. It'll also talk about the text line that we have. And you can text into the text line and we'll read it. If it's a great question you want on here, we'll answer it. If it's just something like a concern, we don't need to answer it. You can even say, please don't put it on the video. We won't do that. We care about you. Okay, that's it for today. I hope this serves you well. I hope this expands your heart and your mind to seek the wisdom of God from on high. Not the narrow versions that we have. The ones that say the Presbyterian church is something special. You're like, no. This Presbyterian church is the church, part of the church of God. Part of. Well, it also is, just like the Charismatic and the Baptist and the Episcopal and the Eastern Orthodox and the Syrian Orthodox and the Coptic and the Catholic. Part of the church and also the church. Friends, realize, have your mind expanded in God's wisdom such that, and I love this, I think this was a prophetic word that Errol mentioned on Sunday. He used the word reimagine. And he was talking about something else. He wasn't saying reimagine church or worship or your life. I don't think he said any of that. But let that be a word that settles with you. I believe Errol has this prophetic voice that really can help us in this time. That's why God called Errol here. It's not about Errol, though. That's not wisdom. Wisdom is not. It's all about Errol. It's all about Ryan. It's all about blah, 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 blah. It's all about the buildings. It's about, no, stop. Just listen. Take it in. Pray about it. Read your scriptures. If you feel up to it, and I think you probably would want to do this at least once in your life, fast. Fast and pray. An ancient Christian practice. And you will see God speaking deep wisdom. Go seek it. Seek wisdom. It's better than gold and choice silver. It is. Okay, I've already said okay once. I said it again. Really, this is the end of the video. Thanks for being with me today. Looking forward to seeing you this next week as we talk about the 7 women who saved Moses. We'll have some special visitors from our Nueva Vida Bible study class. At least we'll have the class leader, Leticia Morales, with us, which is awesome. She's also a member of this church. Her husband just leads another church. But then some of the members may come on Sunday. Be ready. Get your Spanish ready and raring to go. Be ready to speak it. We'll have a couple songs in Spanish as well. It'll be awesome. And this Sunday we'll look at Moses and a bit of his life and the 7 women who saved him. All right, friends. Looking forward to that time together. In the meantime, may the Lord bless you and keep you. We'll see you next time on 3 for the Road.